I'm Charlotte. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about anything in life that interests me, usually with some backdrop of spirituality or self-development. Today we are going to talk about resolutions, New Year's resolutions specifically. So it's the 3rd of January while I'm filming this, so I'm sure everyone has cracked down on their New Year's resolutions or perhaps failed them all already. Now, resolutions is a pretty harsh word. To resolve to do something means you're making a firm decision to do something. I don't know when I first heard about resolutions. I think I was definitely young, like 12, 13, I was making resolutions. And I'd say for, a good 10 years of my life, they were always the same, which means I probably always failed them. And they were always to lose weight and to stop biting my nails. Now, you know, if those are your resolutions, that's fine. But I'm about a bit more than that today in my life. And a couple of years ago, after having been through, I guess, a fair amount of work on myself, and just growing up and maturing a bit and not being in my teens anymore, I decided that I was going to set intentions, which it just felt like a softer word. Like, you could argue there's no difference between resolutions and intentions, but for me, a resolution is like, I must do this thing, and an intention is like, I would like to try and do this thing, and it just felt a bit softer. So the intentions that I set myself were to be courageous, honest, and spontaneous. And there were reasons that I chose these 3 intentions. I think I had learnt over the previous couple of years, through a number of things happening in my life, both internally and externally, that when I was able to overcome fear, that my life expanded and like the joy in my life expanded. But it took courage to overcome fear. And so I obviously had courage because I'd been overcoming fears, I'd been taking action around stuff that I'd been afraid to. So I wanted to practice being courageous in maybe more areas of my life, or perhaps it was just something I wanted to continue being because it's something I'd had a bit of a taste of, and I was like, cool, I like this courage thing, let's do more of that. So being courageous was one of them. And then being honest as well. I had been in the process of recovery from an eating disorder for a couple of years, and with something like an eating disorder, there's a huge amount of dishonesty that happens. Dishonesty about what you're eating, dishonesty because you're hiding things from people, you're hiding a part of yourself, I suppose. Or at least that's what it felt like to me. And I'd realised through, I guess, getting more honest around my food, behaviours around my food, that there's like a lot of layers of honesty in life. So I don't know about you, but even today in my life, I'm sure sometimes I still tell little white lies, like I've said I've read something when I haven't, or even when I just agree with someone and they're talking about a film and I've never even seen it, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know. But I don't know, I haven't seen it, and it's just a very small lie. But I'd realised that there were these layers of honesty. And again, being honest had brought me like an expansion of life, an expansion of joy in my life. It had helped me connect more with who I am. So I was like, cool, let's have more of that, please. And finally, spontaneity. Spontaneity was something that I feel like I hadn't had a lot of in my life up until that time. And it was probably the hardest one for me because I find like plans changing or being able to just say yes in the moment when someone suggests something, I just found it really hard. But I think there was a part of me that just yearned for like some balance to my rigidity, and so it wasn't like I was going to suddenly become the most spontaneous person overnight or even by the end of the year. I just wanted to invite spontaneity into my life so that I could at least, in a moment where I could feel like, oh, someone suggested something, I feel a bit tense, I feel a bit closed, but I'm practicing spontaneity this year, so I'm going to be spontaneous and I'm going to say yes. And, you know, it was just something to remind me that I wanted to invite that into my life. So I had these 3 things. 3 is the magic number I have found. And as I've mentioned, like they were just practices. They were things that I wanted to practice doing more of in my life. I certainly was not expecting to become the most honest, the most courageous, the most spontaneous, any of that. It was a very soft approach that I took, and it really worked for me. There were times throughout the year, I think this is something that is particularly pertinent to me, that when I made resolutions, you know, maybe I'd think about them for the first week of January, the first 2 weeks of January. I then would just forget about them. Whereas with these intentions, they kind of just kept like coming into my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, actually I'm trying to be more courageous and I feel afraid of this thing. How can I practice that today? And that wasn't every day, it was just, you know, at different times. It felt like those 3 things that I'd focused on really supported me that year in just being able to become more myself and connect more to myself. So this year I'm doing the same thing, and this year my intentions are I've chosen 3 again because that number really worked for me, to be playful, soft, and truly empowering. And so I'll just talk a little bit about why I chose those. So the reason that I came up with those 3, I think the playfulness one is, I suppose it's similar to the spontaneity, where I feel that when I can be in quite like a heightened state of maybe vigilance or awareness sometimes, and I find it hard to just like relax into myself and just, yeah, be playful or see the lightheartedness in something, kind of approach something playfully without being like quite serious. So I think it's kind of that rigidity, serious side of me that I'm really trying to balance out. It's not that I'm rejecting that. I think it plays a really important part in my life, but I really want to be more playful and creative, and I get a lot of joy when I go to a playground and get on the swing, and, you know, I guess inviting more of those childlike behaviours into my life. And for me, that's what like playfulness is really about this year. So the reason I chose soft, I'm being soft, or I'm inviting softness into my life, is because I do have quite a sort of hard or like masculine energy, I would say. That's kind of my nature. And softness like feels so loving, and I really want like more of that soft, like playful love in my life. Who wouldn't? And the third one is truly empowering. For me, being empowering, and by that I mean to empower others and to empower myself, I have to really believe that there is enough opportunity in life for everyone, and it's really about coming and approaching life from a place of abundance and not from a place of lack. And when I approach life from a place of lack, which can feel a bit like my default sometimes, I either think that I'm not enough, someone else isn't enough, there isn't enough, something is not enough. And it kind of means that there's like not enough everywhere. It just kind of gets into everything. I guess it's a wonderful feeling, like really being able to encourage other people and like celebrate other people, and it kind of forces me to come from this place of abundance and really practice that as well in my life. And it was something that I definitely noticed at the end of last year. Maybe it's because we've been in a pandemic, less connection with people, but I did just feel a bit more disconnected. And I think to be truly empowering, I have to be connected to others, I have to be present, I have to be listening, I have to be aware.
Several bad puns later.
So I am new to this whole YouTube thing, and my memory card ran out at the end of whatever it was I was saying. So here we are, a few days later, got that fixed, got myself a new card. I think we were just about ready to say bye. So let me know about your intentions for the year in the comments below. If you have enjoyed today, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, there'll be more coming. I'll see you next week when I'm going to talk about seasons, living by the seasons. What does that really mean? Or what does it mean for me today when I'm trying to live by the seasons? So I'll catch you next time, and sending peace till then.